In 18th century India, society was governed by strict, often brutal traditions. Widows were burned alive on funeral pyres, children were forced into marriage, and rigid caste lines dictated every aspect of daily life. The orthodox elite maintained this system through a simple narrative. They claimed these practices were not choices, but strict commands handed down from ancient religious texts. Because the masses could not read the original Sanskrit, they had no way to verify if these life-or-death claims were true. The priests held a complete monopoly on information. Defeating these practices required more than physical resistance. It needed an intellectual intervention by someone capable of challenging the elite's textual authority directly. That person was Ram Mohan Roy. Born in Radhanagar, he was a rare intellectual prodigy. By the age of 15, he had already mastered Bengali, Sanskrit, Arabic, and Persian. He continued with English, Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, gaining direct access to philosophical texts from across the world. To support his work, he served as a revenue officer for the East India Company, which provided him an inside view of the British administration. This combination of bureaucratic experience and the ability to read the world's oldest scriptures in their original languages made him a direct threat to the gatekeepers of tradition. The most urgent battle was over sati, the practice of burning a widow on her husband's pyre. The priests insisted this was a religious decree, and British officials were hesitant to interfere with local laws. Roy realized that moral arguments alone would not suffice. He bypassed the priests and went directly to the original Sanskrit scriptures. Examining documents like this handwritten Sanskrit manuscript, Roy combed through ancient texts and found no original Hindu scripture mandated the burning of widows. He translated these specific proofs, isolating the original text to expose how the scriptures were manipulated. This tactic moved the fight from an emotional plea to a precise legal argument. By using their own sacred texts as the primary evidence against them, Roy stripped the orthodox elite of their religious defense. Eradicating one practice was not enough. Roy believed the underlying religious philosophy needed to shift toward monotheism and the rejection of superstition. In 1828, he founded the Brahmo Samaj. This was a platform dedicated to logic and idol-free worship, encouraging a more reasoned approach to faith. He also turned to mass communication, becoming a pioneer of the Indian press. He launched independent journals like Samvad Comedy to advocate for widow remarriage, female education, and property rights. The combination of the Brahmo Samaj and his printing press created a public sphere where social issues were addressed through reasoned debate rather than tradition alone. These efforts culminated in 1829 with the passing of the Sati Abolition Act. This was a major systemic victory for human rights in India, setting a precedent for future legal reform. Roy understood that legal changes would only last if they were supported by a modern educational system. In 1816, he established an English school in Calcutta designed to blend Western scientific methods with Indian values. He also pushed for broader political reforms, including press freedom, the separation of the judiciary from the executive branch, and protections for farmers. By combining the removal of specific traditions with the construction of a new legal and educational infrastructure, he worked toward a modern administrative framework for the country. Roy's final strategic move took him to England, where he served as a diplomatic envoy to present grievances to the British government. To provide him with the necessary authority for this mission, Mughal Emperor Akbar II granted him the title of Raja.